Hello all, the topic of today's discussion is the novel by Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. Let us move to the novel. Pride and Prejudice is Jane Austen's first novel, published in 1813. Some scholars also consider it one of her most mature novels. Austen began writing Pride and Prejudice under the title First Impressions in 1796 at the age of 21. Between 1810 and 1812, Austen rewrote Pride and Prejudice for publication. While the original ideas in the novel came from a 21-year-old girl, the final version reflects the literary and thematic maturity of a 35-year-old woman who had spent years painstakingly drafting and revising, as Austen did with all of her novels. Pride and Prejudice is the most popular of Austen's novels. The novel Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen begins with the quote, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife." This quote establishes centrality of advantageous marriage, a fundamental social value of Regency England. The arrival of Mr. Bingley and the news of his wealth is the event that sets the novel in motion. Everything started when a wealthy young man named Charles Bingley rented the manor known as Netherfield Park in the neighboring village of Longbourn. It causes a stir, especially in the Bennet household. The Bennets have 5 unmarried daughters, and Mrs. Bennet, a foolish and gossiping woman, agrees with the opening quote of the novel. She sees Bingley's arrival as an opportunity for one of the girls to obtain a wealthy spouse and insists that her husband should make acquaintance with their new neighbor. Mr. Bennet torments his family by pretending that he has no interest in doing so, but he secretly meets Mr. Bingley without their knowledge. Mrs. Bennet and her 5 daughters, Jane, Elizabeth, who is also known as Lizzie, Mary, Catherine, who is also known as Kitty, and Lydia, were quite happy when they knew that their father had visited Mr. Bingley. From the beginning of the novel itself, it is clear that Mr. Bennet prefers Elizabeth over his other daughters because of her practical nature. Mrs. Bennet, on the other hand, appears to be more fond of Jane because of her beauty and of Lydia because of her good humor. Mr. Bingley pays a return visit to Mr. Bennet and is subsequently invited to dinner at Longbourn, where the Bennets stay. But Bingley couldn't attend it as he had to go to London. He returns along with his sisters, Mrs. Hurst and her husband, his younger sister Caroline, and his friend Darcy for the upcoming ball. Austen focuses on just a few families of different status: the extremely wealthy upper class Bingley and Darcy, and the less wealthy country gentry, the Bennets, in order to reveal the class dynamics of her society on a small scale. Balls were among the few socially acceptable venues for mingling between sexes. The ball takes place in the town of Meryton, where the locals gossip about the newcomers. Darcy is handsome but proud and aloof. Bingley makes friends with everyone, dancing twice with Jane, which makes the Bennets very happy. Elizabeth overhears Bingley talking about the beauty of Jane to Darcy. Bingley also asks Darcy to dance with Elizabeth, who is a suitable match for him. But Darcy rejects his proposal by saying that she isn't pretty enough for him. Elizabeth overhears this and is much annoyed. Mrs. Bennet is excited for Jane and is convinced of Bingley's interest in her and detests Darcy for his attitude to Elizabeth. Jane and Elizabeth exchange their admiration for Bingley's looks, humor, and manners. Jane has nothing bad to say about Bingley's sisters, but Elizabeth considers them as conceited. The narrator explains Bingley's background. He has a respectable family. He inherited around £1 lakh and may be looking to buy an estate. And he is renting Netherfield in the meantime. His sisters, Mrs. Hurst and Caroline, are very happy to follow him around. The narrator explains to us the affluent status of Bingley, who has a respectable family and had inherited a lot of money. Bingley and Darcy's friendship is explained as a meeting of the opposites. Anywhere they go, Bingley is sociable and well liked, while Darcy is always so aloof and offends people. After the ball, Bingley was delighted with the locals, especially Jane, but Darcy considered them plain and uninteresting. The Bennet women discussed the ball with their neighbours. Sir William Lucas, Lady Lucas and Charlotte, who is their eldest daughter and is Elizabeth's close friend. Charlotte consoles Elizabeth about Darcy's insult and adds that Darcy's pride may be forgiven because of his high standing and fortune. Elizabeth responds that she could forgive his pride if he hadn't insulted her own. Elizabeth suspects that her sister Jane is falling in love with Bingley and admires her composure. As Darcy spends more time with Elizabeth, he begins to notice Elizabeth's beauty and verve and confesses to Caroline, Bingley's sister, that Elizabeth has captured his admiration. When there was an opportunity for them to dance together, Elizabeth refuses his offer. Caroline was also secretly happy with this because she was also in love with Darcy. Even so, he still deplores Elizabeth's family's behavior and can't imagine joining their family through marriage. Meanwhile, Kitty and Lydia Bennet are thrilled to learn that a military regiment is stationed at Meryton. They make frequent visits to Mrs. Phillip, another gossiping sister of Mrs. Bennet, to learn about the officers of the regiment. Soon after, a letter arrives to Jane from Caroline Bingley, inviting her to visit Netherfield. Mrs. Bennet schemes to send Jane on horseback, even though it will rain, so that she will have to spend the night at the Netherfield. The next morning, Jane sends Elizabeth a letter explaining that she caught a bad cold in the storm, and Elizabeth walks 3 miles to Netherfield to care for her sister, arriving dirty and tired. Caroline mocks Elizabeth for her appearance, but Darcy is deeply moved by this gesture. The next day, Mrs. Bennet, Kitty and Lydia visit Netherfield to check on Jane. Elizabeth was quite embarrassed by the behavior of her family when Mrs. Bennet fawns over Mr. Bingley while being rude to Mr. Darcy. Two features that distinguish Elizabeth from other women throughout the novel are her quick wit and her energy. Throughout the novel, Elizabeth enjoys physical activity, especially walking, and readers find the first evidence of this proclivity when Elizabeth easily walks the 3 miles from Longbourn to Netherfield to see her sick sister. The snide responses of Caroline Bingley and Mrs. Hurst to Elizabeth's action demonstrate that such behavior is not the norm among gentle women. Interestingly, the characteristics that set Elizabeth apart from other women in the novel are the very qualities that appeal to Darcy. A little knowledge of 19th century society helps modern readers to understand some of Austen's ironic social commentary in this section. Miss Bingley and Mrs. Hurst take great delight in ridiculing Jane and Elizabeth's relatives, who are pseudo-gentry or professionals who do not own land, such as their uncle Phillips, who is an attorney. Members of the landowning gentry, such as Darcy, or the soon-to-be landowning gentry, such as Bingley, would consider those who earn their money through trade, maybe any profession, to be socially inferior. We learn that Mr. Bennet's property is entailed, meaning that it must pass to a man after Mr. Bennet's death and cannot be inherited by any of his daughters. At Netherfield, meanwhile, Miss Bingley plays on the piano and Elizabeth again refuses to dance with Darcy. Her refusal only increases his admiration. Miss Bingley was feeling jealous and she spends the following day making fun of Elizabeth's family in front of Darcy. The next morning, Elizabeth writes to their mother to take them home, but Mrs. Bennet refuses to send the carriage because she wants them to stay longer at Netherfield. Hence, they borrow Bingley's carriage and returns home. Darcy is glad to see them go, for he finds himself increasingly attracted towards Elizabeth. By showing Miss Bingley as a scheming rival for Darcy's love, whose tactics are uninspired, the novel highlights Elizabeth's originality and independence of spirit and suggests that these not the laundry list of accomplishments that Darcy gives are the qualities that Darcy truly desires in a woman. After his daughters arrive from Netherfield, Mr. Bennet informs them about the visit of one of their relatives, Mr. William Collins, who will inherit his property. Mr. Collins is a clergyman whom the wealthy noblewoman Lady Catherine de Bow has recently selected to serve her parish. He arrives at Longbourn and spends his time admiring the house he is going to own. Collins was in search for a wife, and Mrs. Bennet hints to him about the affair of Jane and Mr. Bingley. So he lavishes his attention at Elizabeth, which was blatantly rejected. Meanwhile, they become accosted with a certain officer in the army whose name was Wickham. The ladies feel attracted towards this handsome man, and Elizabeth learns that Darcy and Wickham did not like each other. Wickham reveals to Elizabeth that Darcy's father was intended to provide for him, but Darcy cheated him of his inheritance. He also tells her that Darcy was the nephew of Lady Catherine de Bow, who was insolent and dictatorial. Elizabeth believes in him and is filled with contempt for Darcy. Elizabeth tells this story to Jane, but Jane defends Darcy and says that there might be a misunderstanding between the two men. But Elizabeth did not believe her words. We are here introduced to two other characters in the novel: Mr. Collins, the target of Jane Austen's greatest satire, and Wickham, the novel's most villainous character. Collins serves as a vehicle for criticism of the practice of entailment, by which the law forces Mr. Bennet to leave his property to a ridiculous man than to his daughters. Collins functions as another example of Austen's criticism of snobbery. Elizabeth is warned by Miss Bingley, but she did not heed to her warning about Wickham. Jane herself helps her by asking about Wickham to Bingley, but Elizabeth suspects that Bingley will only support Darcy, being his friend. That same day, a letter arrives for Jane from Miss Bingley, informing her that Bingley and his party are returning to the city indefinitely and implying that Bingley plans to marry Darcy's sister, Georgiana Darcy. Elizabeth comforts Jane, telling her that this turn of events is all Miss Bingley's doing, not her brother's, and that Bingley will return to Netherfield. A news arrives at Longbourn that Mr. Collins has proposed to Charlotte Lucas, and it was accepted. Charlotte reasons that it is best for her lucratively, and it shocks Elizabeth. Mrs. Bingley scolds Elizabeth for letting a prospective husband go. Meanwhile, they did not hear anything from Mr. Bingley, and the prospect of marriage between Jane and Bingley appears bleak. Indeed, one can interpret Charlotte's fate as a component of Austen's critique of a male-dominated society that leaves unmarried women without a future. Mrs. Bennet's brother, Mr. Gardiner, comes to stay at Longbourn with his family. Hearing about Jane's dejection, they immediately invites her to London, which she readily accepts. Secretly, she hopes to meet Bingley there. Mrs. Gardiner also notices the bond between Wickham and Elizabeth, but does not think it as a good match. At the first opportunity, Mrs. Gardiner warns Elizabeth that Wickham's lack of money makes him an unsuitable match. She further says that Elizabeth should be careful not to embarrass her father by becoming attached to Wickham. Elizabeth responds carefully, stating that she will try to keep Wickham from falling in love with her, and that she devotedly wishes not to upset her father, but concluding that all she can do is her best. Jane's letters from London recounts how she had met Miss Bingley and her cold behavior. Elizabeth thinks that Miss Bingley considers Jane as an obstacle in the marriage between Bingley and Georgiana Darcy, Darcy's sister. Elizabeth informs Mrs. Gardiner that Wickham is in love with another girl, a Miss King, who has just inherited a large fortune. As for Elizabeth, she believes that she was never in love with him. The nurturing and supportive Gardiners take Jane to London and distract her from her unhappiness over Bingley. However amusing the reader finds him, Mr. Bennet, in contrast, seems to have no real understanding of when his children even need help. He prefers withdrawing into the peace of his library than coping with the problems facing his family. In March, Elizabeth travels with Sir William Lucas to visit Charlotte and her new husband, Mr. Collins, as promised. On the way, they spent a night in London with Jane and the Gardiners. Elizabeth was invited by the Gardiners to accompany them on a tour, and she happily accepts it. While Elizabeth was visiting Mr. Collins and Charlotte, they were invited by Miss de Bourgh to dine at Rosings, her mansion. At dinner, Lady Catherine dominates the conversation, and she grills Elizabeth concerning her upbringing, deciding that the Bennet sisters have been badly reared. As Elizabeth was in London, Darcy used to visit her frequently and informs her that Bingley is unlikely to return to Netherfield. Elizabeth thinks that it was Darcy who had sabotaged her sister's marriage. As she was thinking about this, Darcy enters abruptly and proposes to Elizabeth. She rejects him by calling him selfish and proud and accuses him of sabotaging the marriage of Jane and Bingley, and also for cheating Wickham of his inheritance. Just as Elizabeth yields to her prejudices, she has not yet heard Darcy's side of the story. Darcy allows his pride to guide him. In his proposal to Elizabeth, he spends more time emphasizing Elizabeth's lower rank than actually asking her to marry him. The following day, Elizabeth was visited by Darcy and he gives her a letter. Through the letter, he reveals that it was he who had dissuaded Bingley from the affair with Jane, thinking that their bond was not so strong. But he also writes that he had provided for Wickham after his father's death, and the root cause of his enmity with Wickham was because he tried to elope with his sister Georgiana Darcy, hoping to get her fortune. Now Elizabeth regrets for believing in Wickham and supporting him. Her feelings for Darcy suddenly enter into a flux. After a short stay at the Gardiners' London house, Elizabeth, joined by Jane, returns home. The two are met by Catherine and Lydia, who talk of nothing but the soldiers who are stationed in Meryton. Lydia, in the course of their conversation, mentions that Wickham had left Miss King, who has gone to Liverpool to live with her uncle. Lydia is invited by a certain Colonel Foster's wife to stay with them at Brighton, and Mr. Bennet allows her to go and stay with them, thinking that the Colonel will take care of her. In July, Elizabeth visits Derbyshire countryside with the Gardiners, which take them close to the estate of Pemberley, which belongs to Darcy. After making sure that Darcy was not there, she decides to take a tour of the estate. Darcy's letter begins a humbling process for both Elizabeth and him, which results in a maturation of each of their attitudes toward the other. In Darcy's case, the rejection of his proposal strikes a blow to his pride and compels him to respond to Elizabeth's anger. The resulting letter reveals to Elizabeth how she misjudged both him and Wickham. With the extent of her mistaken prejudice suddenly apparent, Elizabeth is humbled enough to begin to look at Darcy in a new light. When Elizabeth tours the estate of Pemberley, she imagines what it would be like to be mistress there as Darcy's wife. The housekeeper, Mrs. Reynolds, reveals that Darcy was a very kind master and a sweet man, which was a surprise for Elizabeth. While they were at Pemberley, Darcy arrives there suddenly and meets them, which embarrasses Elizabeth. He appears to be remarkably polite and invites Elizabeth to meet his sister Georgiana Darcy, which she readily agrees. When he was talking with Elizabeth, Gardiners mention about the polite and gentlemanly manner of Darcy. While Elizabeth meets Bingley's sister at the manor of Darcy, she tries to chide her in front of Darcy. But Darcy replies that Elizabeth is the prettiest woman he had ever met. Mrs. Reynolds' glowing descriptions of Darcy continue the process of breaking down Elizabeth's initial prejudice against him. As Mrs. Reynolds reveals a hidden side of Darcy, Elizabeth realizes how hastily she has judged him. This ability to admit the error of her ways demonstrates Elizabeth's emotional maturity. Unlike Miss Bingley, who resorts to denigrating Elizabeth when she realizes that Darcy favors her, Elizabeth does not allow arrogance to prevent her from confronting her own shortcomings. The arrival of Darcy himself further encourages Elizabeth's change of heart. Humbled by her rejection of his marriage proposal, Darcy has altered his conduct toward her and become a perfect gentleman. This courteous behavior both illustrates his love for her and compels the growth of her estimation of him. His ability to overcome his pride in much the same way that Elizabeth overcomes her prejudice gives Elizabeth and the reader hope that her rejection of him has not caused him to give up and that he may propose again under different terms. When Elizabeth returns to her inn, she finds two letters from Jane. The first relates that Lydia has eloped with Wickham. The second that there is no word from the couple and that they may not be married yet. Elizabeth panics, realizing that if Wickham does not marry Lydia, the reputations of both Lydia and the entire family will be ruined. She informs about this to Darcy and immediately returns home. She imagines that her family's reputation would be tarnished. Mr. Gardiner attempts to comfort Elizabeth by telling her that Wickham would certainly marry Lydia because he will not ruin his reputation or career. When she reaches home, she finds that her father had gone to London in search of the couple. Mr. Gardiner follows Mr. Bennet to London and rides to Longbourn a few days later with the news that the search was unsuccessful and that Mr. Bennet is returning home, much to the consternation of Mrs. Bennet. 2 days later, after the return of Bennet, Mr. Gardiner informs them that the couple had been found and Wickham was ready to marry Lydia if the Bennets will provide him with a monthly income. Mr. Bennet readily agrees to it to protect the reputation of the family, and the Bennets think that sufficient money was given to Wickham by the Gardiners in order to make him marry Lydia. Amid the turmoil of Lydia's folly, Elizabeth turns immediately to Darcy, illustrating the closeness developing between them. Their shared sense of guilt about failing to expose Wickham's true nature, which they believe would have prevented the elopement, aligns them emotionally and gives them a common purpose. The Bennet parents come across as highly inadequate at this point in the text. Mrs. Bennet because of her stupidity and Mr. Bennet because of his refusal to take responsibility for his children. Pride and Prejudice is critical of the difficulties faced by women in English society of the period, whereas Austen passes judgment on both the practice of entailment and the necessity of marriage for women to avoid public scorn, which leads to Charlotte's union with Mr. Collins for practicality's sake. She does not question the idea that living with a man out of wedlock ruins a girl. Elizabeth, the voice of reason and common sense at this point in the novel, condemns Lydia's behavior as infamy and declares that if Lydia does not marry Wickham, she is lost forever. Elizabeth finds that her opinion of Darcy has changed completely and she would accept him if he proposes. But now it seems extremely unlikely because of Lydia's behavior. Soon a letter arrives from Mr. Gardiner that Wickham has accepted a commission in the north of England, and Lydia had asked to visit her family before she goes north with her new husband. After much reluctance, the Bennets allow the couple to come home. While talking with Jane and Elizabeth, Lydia tells about the presence of Darcy in the church during their wedding. Elizabeth seems surprised and writes to Gardiners for information. The Gardiners inform that it was Darcy who found the couple and it was him that paid the money which facilitated the marriage. She also says that it was because of the love for Elizabeth that Darcy did this, which was quite a shock to Elizabeth. After Wickham and Lydia depart for their new home in the north, Bingley and Darcy return to Netherfield. Bingley proposes to Jane, which she readily accepts to the happiness of Mrs. Bennet. Elizabeth's realization that Darcy is exactly the man who in disposition and talents would most suit her is ironic, since she not only rejected his marriage proposal earlier but did so in a manner that made it clear that she despised him. Lady Catherine, meanwhile, tries to dissuade Elizabeth from marrying Darcy, quoting about their status, to which Elizabeth replies that she would never leave out something which pertains to her happiness. Soon after, Darcy also visits Netherfield, and while the family members were walking together, Elizabeth and Darcy lag behind and talk with each other. They accept each other's proposal and soon marry. After the marriages of Elizabeth and Darcy and Jane and Bingley, life progresses happily for the newlyweds. The Bingleys move close to Pemberley after about a year, and Elizabeth and Jane are frequently visited by their sister Kitty, who improves considerably under their influence. Back at Longbourn, Mrs. Bennet continues to be silly. Mr. Bennet misses Elizabeth and enjoys visiting her, and Mary appreciates having no pretty sisters at home to compete with. As for the rest of their families, Wickham and Lydia continue to squander money. Lady Catherine is cold to Elizabeth, and Miss Darcy and Elizabeth become very close. Darcy and Elizabeth's happiness is increased by visits from the Gardiners, whom Darcy and Elizabeth feel are responsible for bringing them together. It is the nature of Austen's novels that romance must win out over all the obstacles, whether social or personal, that it faces. Just as love triumphs over pride in social status for Darcy, it triumphs over prejudice for Elizabeth. Elizabeth's friends and family, thinking that she dislikes Darcy, ask her if she is marrying for love, and in the end, in Austen, despite the undeniably relevant social issues of class, money and practicality, this question always proves most important. Thank you, and thanks for watching.